Welcome to the Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva, and today we're going to get some insight into college softball. My guest today is Camise Patterson. She is the head women's softball coach at Alabama State University, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Anthony. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so usually I start my guests where they went to college. So where'd you go to school?
I went to Campbell University in Bowies Creek, North Carolina. We are the Campbell Camels. I graduated in 2015 with my degree in kinesiology.
Wow, fantastic. So
Lot
let's
of
go back in time before we get into college and what you're doing today. Um, In high school, when did it start becoming a reality of going to college? Was it freshman year of high school, senior year? When did it all start for you?
I think for me, it was a little bit earlier. I think it was about eighth grade. My parents set me down. They said, "Hey, we're spending a lot of money to travel and to play softball, and we know you love it, but we want a return on our investment." And they said, "So if you're really serious about, doing the work and putting in extra hours and getting with some better teams and just really working hard so that you can go play in college, then we're going to continue on this path. But if not, you can go play Little League, All Stars, Babe Ruth League, whatever, recreation ball." And I didn't have to think too long about it, but I did think about it pretty quickly. And I said, no, I want to go play in college. And I wrote out my goals. My dad's really big on writing goals and making the vision plain. So I wrote my vision down. I said I wanted to play Division I softball and I wanted to be a starter. And I wanted to get really good, really good playing time. And I really worked hard to make sure that came true. So by the time I actually got to high school, I already had it in my head that, hey, it's college or bust. I don't like the D1 or bust mentality now as a coach, but for me as a player, it was, hey, I know I want to go play Division I, so I did what I had to do to get there.
Good. So was Campbell University the only school that you got recruited from, or did you have many schools?
Oh, I had a lot of schools after me. I had a lot of schools. I had some bigger schools, that weren't really offering too much money, but they're like, hey, come work hard, be a base runner. And I was like, it sounds okay, it sounds cool to play for P5, but I really wanted to actually contribute to the team. I had a lot of HBCUs coming after me. Pretty much everyone in the state of North Carolina was coming after me. I had some place in Tennessee, place in Ohio. But I had a lot of schools coming after me, a lot of schools looking at me. And with Campbell, it was once I got on campus, it really just felt familiar. It felt like I had been there before. It felt like somewhere where I knew my parents could come see me play. I knew my family can come see me play. And I was always wearing orange and black because that's the colors of the school that I went to for high school. And I was like, hey, it just kind of fits, going from Fuquay Varina High School in North Carolina to Campbell University, right down the street, about 35 minutes. So it clicked once I get on campus, and it was wonderful.
So now you're at the university. What's the softball team like? What's the atmosphere of the school like? What did you think when you got there?
So the softball team was interesting. I love my teammates, still love them to this day. But it was a lot of people that I actually played against growing up. So I played for a travel ball team back in the day called the Triangle Lightning out of Raleigh, North Carolina, and we played a lot of teams like the Carolina Cardinals out of Charlotte. We played a lot of teams like the oh my gosh, now I gotta really think back. The Cape Fear Storm, which is right there near Bowie's Creek. And so a lot of those people that I played against for 6, 7 years were now on this team. So figuring out how to go from being rivals to being somebody that's like, I got your back, was a little interesting, but we figured it out pretty quickly. And then the school atmosphere, it was very small. We had a total student body population of about maybe 2,500. So smaller than some high schools, but it was really small, very intimate to the point where all the professors knew your name. If you didn't show up for class, you're not getting an email, you're getting a phone call from the professor saying, hey, where you at? Not just because you're an athlete, but because they actually can put a face with a name. You're not just a number. And that was a beautiful thing about Campbell. The facilities are amazing. They were great back then, and now they're just phenomenal. They've really done some amazing upgrades. And we won quite a bit. We didn't quite get a championship, but we came pretty close.
So now you graduate from Campbell. How does one go from graduating there to becoming the head women's softball coach at Alabama State University?
Ooh, it was a journey. Let me tell y'all, it was a journey. So I contemplated going to PT school. I was actually working as a rehabilitation specialist at a local PT clinic in Lillington, North Carolina. Shout out to, I think it's Total Body. I think that's what we called it. But shout out to them. They gave me a, my first shot at having a big girl job. And it was cool. It was nice, but it was very redundant. We did a lot of the same modalities, a lot of the same people had different injuries, but the same kind of rehab plan, just because that's what they do with PT. And I got bored very easily. And then from there, I was like, you know what? I like rehab, but I really love training. I work out a lot. Even to this day, I work out about not as much as I used to, but I still work out about 4 to 5 days a week, some vigorous training. And so I really got into that aspect of it with the people who were in rehab and that I was specializing in, and I became a personal trainer. So then from there, I was like, I miss softball, and I got bit by the coaching bug when I did a camp at Campbell University under Todd Bradley, and seeing the players really grasp the concepts we're talking about, something just sparked inside of me. And I said, I think I want to do this for a little bit longer. So one of my good friends was coaching down at Florida A&M University. She was the pitching coach. And she called me one day and she said, hey, do you want to come hang out for a year? I said, what do you mean hang out? She said, come be a volunteer. I said, that means I'm not getting paid. I said, like, what is that like? I'm used to making money, and I had to pause and realize that it's not always about the money. Rarely is it about the money, it's about opportunities, and it's about the chance to make impacts and a chance for you to fulfill your purpose. So I went down to Florida A&M to Tallahassee, and I was a volunteer under the legendary coach Veronica Wiggins. And then after that, I was moved up into a paid position after a year. So I was the number two assistant. I was in that role for 2 years. I left and went to Bethune-Cookman. I was there during COVID year. And then the young lady who was the first assistant at FAMU ended up getting the head job because Coach Wiggins retired. And she called me, asked me to come back. And I said, yeah, I'll always come back because it was feeling at home. Tallahassee was home. FAMU was home. And so I went back. I was her assistant for 2 years. She decided to get out of coaching. And then I took over as the interim, and I was the only coach. That was an interesting experience. The only coach on staff for 6 months, and then once I actually got the official title of head coach, they dropped the interim title. I was able to hire some staff, and I was there for another 2 years, so a total of pretty much 8 years at FAMU. When you total everything
Wow.
up, and I got the call last summer that Alabama State was looking to get a new coach. Todd Bradley had retired, and he called me personally, and he actually coached me when I was at Campbell. He was my senior year. He was our head coach. So he called me and said, "Hey, like, have you gotten a call from Alabama State?" I gave him your phone number, gave them your information. I said, "Yeah." I said, "We're gonna see." It was hard to leave, fam. You don't get me wrong. It was very, very hard to leave. We had just gotten to the championship game. We had just finished winning the Eastern Division. We had 9 players that got postseason awards. I was the coach of the year. So to make that jump, I was like, oh, it's kind of scary, but I felt like I was being led to Alabama State. So I came here, and we started off a little rocky last year. We started off 0-14. And that's
Oh,
probably the worst start I've ever had as an assistant, as a volunteer, as a head coach. But we were able to turn it around and finish third in our conference.
wow, fantastic. So now you're at Alabama State. How do you recruit? How do girls find you? How does it all start?
Oh, that's such a loaded question, but it really starts with emails. Like I'm old school. I coached under an old school coach with Coach Wiggins, so I'm still kind of old school. Shoot me an email, let me know that you're looking at our program, and try and do that as early as possible. I think too many young ladies, and I'm sure young men for other sports, get in the habit of waiting until they think a coach can talk to them. So they wait until their junior year and then they start sending emails. But what they need to understand is we're looking at freshmen and sophomores. So even though we can't talk to them, we can't respond to them, they're on our recruiting board, they're on our radar. And so we're already looking at them. So if you think it's too early to start sending emails, it's not. It's probably right on time. So send me an email. I am on Twitter. I don't check my DMs as much as I should. I can wholeheartedly admit that. I have to do better. But if you tag me in something, I see everything that comes across my phone that you tag me in. I'm also on Instagram, so you can tag me on anything in Instagram. My Instagram handle is at Coach P _softball. My Twitter handle is at Camise Patterson. If you don't know how to spell it, go to the Alabama State website and you can figure it out. And then my email is cpatterson1025 at alasu.edu. So you can contact me with any of those. And then also reach out to my assistant coaches. They do a great job of making sure that players get across they get across my desk. So if I happen not to see somebody, but you also send them an email, they make sure that you're on my radar. And when it comes to recruiting, we do a lot of recruiting as far as going out and, going to various tournaments, going to different camps and clinics. Unfortunately, it's hard to get to high school games. So I really want to encourage people that yes, high school is wonderful. It's gonna kind of help you understand what college is like more than travel ball will. But most coaches were playing at the same time high school's going on, unless you're in the state of Georgia. And we don't really have a chance to come out to too many high school games. So make sure that you're playing for a quality travel team. And if you're picking up with the travel ball team just for the weekend or so, make sure that you shoot us an email saying, "Hey, I'm picking up with this team. I'm a guest player. Here's my number. Here's our schedule." But emails, Twitter, Instagram, give us the most important information, which is your name, what number are you? Who do you play for? Where are you from? Your year. So what year are you going to graduate? I don't want to know what year you were born because that's not going to help me understand what grade you're in. But what year do you graduate? And then if you have your summer schedule or your fall schedule, shoot that to us in the same email. Anytime that you have video, send that to us as well. And then once you get your actual tournament schedule for the different tournaments that you play in, make sure you send that as early as possible because we sit down weeks in advance and we start planning these things out. So the sooner you can get us the more pertinent information, the better off you're going to be.
So now, as a student athlete coming there as a freshman, can you give me a synopsis of how the whole year works for a softball player at Alabama State? Do they start in August? Do they start in September? How does it all begin? Give me a whole year's worth of what happens.
All right. So we typically start in August. Our schedule is a little bit different than other universities in the South. We start very early. So this year we're starting on August 11th is the first day of class. We have what do we have on the 10th? We have something on the 10th with the university. And then so our players normally get to campus on August 8th or 9th. We'll have a team meeting on the first day of class just so that they have a chance to meet everybody. They have a chance to see our faces. We have a chance to make sure we give them as much information as possible about what the next couple weeks are going to look like. And so then during August, we have what we call our 8-hour weeks. So we're only allowed to be in a team setting for 8 hours total. That includes team meetings, that includes individuals, that includes group work, hitting, pitching, catching, weights, conditioning. We only have 8 hours total for those weeks. And then after we get past those, so about the end of September, we go from group work in those 8 hours and we go into our 20-hour weeks, which is more aligned with what the actual season looks like. So we have our full team practices. That's when we get our 8 scrimmages for those days that we can. And so you're going from, I mean, a typical day, you start at 5:30 in the morning. We start weights around 5:45. We have a 15-minute early policy. So you get there at 5:45, start weights at 6. You have an hour of weights and conditioning. You go to class, you go get food. Let me make sure I said that. Go get food. Please eat. It's important to fuel your body, but you go get food for about 35 minutes, 45 minutes to go. Hopefully you have time to shower. You start class at 8 o'clock. You might be in class from 8 to 11. And then from 11 to 1, typically we have, you have your lunch time. So you go to the caf, get your food, and then at that point you have a 45-minute session, whether that's an individual with one of the coaches or whether that's a group session. You go back to class after that, and then you have maybe a stretch on your own. So we're sending different things. Hey, like make sure we're stretching, make sure we're working on flexibility, mobility. You might go back to the field and hit some more or get some extra reps. And then you have study hall. So we do require study hall. We don't require it every single night, but we do require 8 hours a week. So typically they go sit in study hall for about an hour and a half every night. And then you go to bed, you do it all again the next day. And then when you have team practice, so once we get into those 20-hour weeks, like I talked about, the end of September, beginning of October, you still have weights 3 days a week. You still have class you have to go to. But in between classes, that's when you go get your extra reps in, by yourself or with some teammates or a group of people. And then we have practice in the evening. So we practice from 3:30 to 6:30. Sometimes it ends up being 3:30 to 7, depending on what our hours look like for the week. and then you still have to get your study hall hours in. So maybe you get those in between classes, maybe you get those in first thing in the morning if you don't have class, or maybe you wait till after practice and you go from, 7:30 to 9 to the study hall area. And then again, you shower, you eat, you go back to sleep, you do it all again the next day. So it's a very rigorous thing to be an athlete, and that's not just with softball, but with all sports. But for us specifically, that's what our days look like. And so after we get past our 20-hour weeks, that's normally like the end of about mid part of November, end of November, right before Thanksgiving break. You start studying for finals. You go on Thanksgiving break for 5 days. You come back, you have your finals. During finals week, we also have our exit interviews. So we do exit meetings with every player at the end of fall. So they know where they stand, they know what we like, what we don't like, what they need to work on. We call them our grows and our glows. What's glowing, what's great, and what do you need to grow in? And then they go home for pretty much a month. They come back in January. This year, we're coming back a little bit earlier than when school starts so that we actually have a chance to, get them acclimated to the weather because it is kind of cold in January, but they get acclimated to the weather. We have a chance to have our team meetings and stuff before classes start. And then we get to start our training a couple days before that. And then they start classes on, I think this year is like January 8th. I hope I'm not misspeaking, but I think it's January 8th, and we hit the ground running. So study hall, weights, conditioning, practice, ice baths, going to the training room. And then you have classes on top of that. And we had that for about a month. So that's the whole month of January. And this year, our opening day is February 6th. So the
Uh,
first week in February, we open up, and we get to open up at home this year. And going through season, that's a whole different beast. So if all that sounds crazy, just wait till you actually get the season and you start traveling. Because typically you travel on a Thursday and we'll play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll travel back on a Sunday night. That's what the first half of our season, our first month of our season looks like. Once we get into our conference games, we play Friday, Saturday. So most times we'll have it midweek on either a Tuesday or a Wednesday. If we're away, then we're traveling on Thursday. We're playing Friday, Saturday, coming back Saturday night. Our off day is Sunday. Then we practice again Monday, Tuesday, have a midweek on Wednesday, travel Thursday. So you can see how it gets kind of crazy. So the biggest thing is making sure that they manage their time. As coaches, we stay on top of their grades. We do a lot of check-ins. The crazier things get, the more we check in with them, just to make sure that they're able to handle everything. And then if we need to help provide them with any other resources, then we're able to do that as well.
So now a big question that a lot of parents always have about recruiting and going to college is the cost of school.
Yeah.
Um, so are there scholarships? Are there merit money, academic money? How does it all work in softball?
So fully funded Division I programs, you get Mm, they just changed it because of the NCAA settlement. So it used to be that you got 12 full ride scholarships if you were fully funded. We're still at 12 full ride scholarships, and that doesn't mean that we give 12 full rides to 12 people. That means that you're able to divvy that up however you see fit because we are, as softball, we are an equivalency sport, which means that an athlete can have a partial scholarship or they can have a full ride scholarship. Other universities, some of your bigger universities, I think now they get up to 16 full ride scholarships. And we all have a 24 roster limit now. That's the newest thing as of July 1st of this year, a couple days ago. So you have, for us, we got 12 scholarships, 24 student athletes. We got to divvy that up the best way that we see fit. And that's just athletic. Now, we do have a lot of academic money. Our university gives a ton of academic money. As long as your grades are right and your SAT scores are good, you're going to get some type of academic money. And the beautiful thing about Alabama State is you can package those together. So you can take your academic and you can take your athletic and say, hey, this is my package. Here's what I'm going to get. And that's before you even start talking about FAFSA or federal aid or outside grants and scholarships.
Now, what are some of the um, things that you look for in a student athlete? Is it grades first? Is it speed, pitching, hitting, running, what, or all of it all at the same time? What are you actually looking for in an athlete?
We look at it all. I could sit here and say we would love to have somebody who's a 2.5 down the line from home to first, that's crazy fast for anybody who doesn't know. But a 2.5 down the line, a pitcher that throws 75 miles per hour, and somebody who can rob home runs. That all sounds great, but the reality is that's not most of the athletes, even at the Division I level, no matter what, what school you're at. But we do look for speed. We love speed. We want you to be able to get down the line. I look for people who are in shape. And I don't just mean like, oh, like I can throw a ball and I can run. Like, can you handle the 95-degree game days where you have two games back to back? Do you know how to take care of your body? Do you know how to hydrate properly? So we look for those things. And of course, grades. I like to recruit high academic people. If you can retain information in the classroom, that shows that you can retain information on the field. So for me, typically, I'm not going to look at anybody who's under a 3.25 GPA, because when you get to college, your GPA tends to drop a little bit. So as a program, we strive for a 3.25 every semester. This year, we were able to get a 3.58 cumulative overall for the year, which is awesome. So now that's our new standard. So we're going to be shooting for a 3.5 every semester and every year, which just means that we stay on top of our kids academically. But yes, we look at academics, we look at speed, we look at power. I understand not everybody's going to be fast, but if you're not fast, you better be powerful. You better be able to hit it out the park, or at least, score me some runs if you're in the lineup. And pitching wise, we look for players who can spot their pitches. Speed is wonderful, but we also love movement. It's harder to hit something that's moving, that's breaking a lot, than it is for somebody who throws hard. If it's hard and flat, it's going to go out hard and flat. If it's spinning, you're going to get some miss hits. You're going to get some double play balls, which is always what we're looking for. So we look for a bunch of different things. Right now, we have one more spot open for a transfer, a 25 transfer pitcher. That's the only position we're really looking for right now. And then our 26s, we have a couple offers out, and we're just waiting for some of them to make their decisions. And we'll shoot out a couple more offers in the next couple weeks. And then come September 1st, we're able to get in contact with those 2027 recruits. So we'll spend some time, getting to know them on a deeper level, and see if they're a right fit for our program and if we're a right fit for them, because I think that's important as well.
Right. So we're coming to the end of our show. And usually I ask my guests, what advice do you want to give to the parents and the students that are watching this? What advice do you want to give them?
Ooh, there's a lot that I could tell y'all. One is be patient. I know it gets really scary, especially when you're coming into your junior year and you're like, I don't know where I'm going, or even if you're going into your senior year and you haven't made your decision yet. The truth of the matter is that sometimes us coaches, we haven't made our decisions either. So be patient, stay persistent, and stay committed to your craft. Too often, when you get a kid that commits, sometimes they stop working. They think that getting there is the end goal. No, getting there is just the beginning. Because now you have 4 years, whether you decide to stay at whatever school you go to, or whether you decide to, be one of the thousands to get to the transfer portal. But you have 4 years to play the game that you think that you love. And it takes a lot of dedication, hard work, and commitment. And so stay committed to getting better within your craft. And parents, calm down. That's the biggest thing. Parents, calm down, take a deep breath. I understand you have a lot of money invested. Believe me, my dad and my mom set me down and said the same thing. But you have to calm down. You have to allow the coaches to coach. You have to allow your players to be players. And remember that these are still kids. They're still kids. And us coaches, we make mistakes. Don't come for us too often. Like at the end of the day, we love your kids like they're our own. We make mistakes. We can own our mistakes, but calm down a little bit. It's all going to work out the way it's supposed to.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed this.
Yeah. So you've been watching The Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva. Until next time.